What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al, the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Combat Corner HMIT boxing gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today we have the Combat Corner HMIT traditional boxing gloves, and I'm really excited to do this review. And I know what you might be thinking right off the bat. Al, did you just review a pair of HMIT gloves not long ago? And the answer is yes. About a month and a half ago, I reviewed the HMIT sparring gloves. But there are about 3 or 4 different models of HMIT that Combat Corner sells, which I kind of want to go into right off the bat. To start with, these are the standard HMIT boxing gloves, which is basically your standard Muay Thai glove. It has that nice like cuffed wrist down here, that circular wrist. It has a nice open and fat palm with the web thumbing and everything. That has a nice open grip for Thai grips and stuff like that. So this is your standard Thai glove version of the HMIT, which is the most common one that you're probably going to see on the market used by a whole ton of people, which we'll go into in a minute. Then you have other versions, and they even have a chart on the website that I'm sure I will have posted across the screen by now, but they have a chart that basically tells you the difference between this and then say the HMIT Champion, which is basically this glove only has a longer wrist cuff and it has a splinted wrist for better wrist support compared to most traditional Thai gloves like this HMIT Thai glove. Then you have the one that I reviewed that is the HMIT Sparring Glove, which is basically made like a Mexican style glove, more for the boxing crowd. This is your standard Muay Thai glove, the HMIT, which actually stands for Handmade in Thailand. That is Combat Corner's selling point there, is that it is handmade in Thailand. That is the model of this glove. They have a ton of other gloves out there too that are named different from HMIT, but HMIT is by far their top quality line, and this is one of the better gloves that you will get off of their website. Now, the HMIT boxing glove that I reviewed, like I said, was the Mexican style sparring glove. But that's not to say you can't spar in these. That's why I kind of wish right off the bat, I usually don't start with this, I wish Combat Corner would just change the names a little bit, call it like the HMIT Training Glove Mexican version, or HMIT Thai version, or maybe HMIT Standard version or something like that, instead of HMIT Training Glove, HMIT Champion Training Glove. What's the difference? Don't know. Let's look at the chart. Okay, HMIT Sparring Glove. Wait, does that mean I can't spar in the other ones? Even though in the descriptions and in the videos that Combat Corner even has on their YouTube channel says they're great for bag work, sparring, and everything. So yes, to answer the question right off the bat, this is an overall training glove. You can do anything with this glove between sparring, bag work, mitt work, name it, you can do it. Now, speaking of the HMIT glove, like I said, multiple people use this glove around the world, and Combat Corner is one of the most famous brands that you can see around nowadays. And you have multiple champions and top contenders such as Bilal Muhammad, Paul Felder, the Pettis brothers, Anthony and Sergio use these. In fact, Rufus Sport really, I'm pretty sure, got Combat Corner jump-started. And I want to say Combat Corner is still based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, though most of their stuff is made in Thailand. I think mostly all of their stuff is made in Thailand, to be honest. But that's what you got with Combat Corner. They're based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then, of course, one of the biggest names that actually uses this glove specifically is Alex Pereira, who is the middleweight champion of the UFC. You can actually see him hit pads on his Instagram page and all these other things using these gloves. He usually has the red version of the glove, though. And that's the cool thing about this glove, too, going into the model that I have right off the bat, is I have a 16-ounce. They usually, I'm pretty sure these only come in Velcro closure. I don't think they come in lace-ups, though I do think there are HMITs in lace-up, like the one I reviewed, which was the Mexican style. They have other HMITs in lace-up, I believe. This is not the case. I believe you can only get this in hook and loop looking through their website, but there are other HMIT options in lace-up. That's what you want. I got these in 16 ounces, and I think you can go all the way from 8 to 16 ounces or 10 to 16 ounces. And the cool thing that I like about Combat Corner is the bigger the glove gets, the bigger the hand compartment gets, and the actual bigger the glove is. So if you got like a 10 ounce, it would actually be shorter and thinner. Usually because gloves like that, I like brands that do that because they're assuming that, say, a guy that's buying 10 ounce gloves is probably going to be like 115 pounds or under and stuff like that. Whereas if I'm buying 16, I'm probably 175 or above. I don't know if they have 18. I didn't see 18, not in this colorway anyway, but they have tons of different colorways. I have the mint green. In fact, this was one of the few times that I put myself on a wait list to wait till it got back in stock, and the moment it was, I bought it. So that's the cool thing about this, is that it's in mint green, but you have loads of different colors and sizes. You have colors like black and white, white and black, red and black, complete maroon. You have khaki. You have black and purple. You have a bunch of different colors, like a bright bumblebee yellow, you know, all those other things. It's really cool. So you have tons of options, different sizes, different colors. Combat Corner has you covered in all those areas. I guess you can say they have you combat cornered. Haha, sorry, I had to do that. Cancel me. Anyway, going into the look of the glove, like I said, it is the mint green colorway that we have going on here. And the entire glove, except for the text and the Velcro and the interior lining, is all that nice mint green color, which is a color that I've never had for a boxing glove. I also got the shin guards that match this color too, just because I wanted to be cool like that. And I was looking for new shin guards for a while. But when you talk about the look of the glove, it is that nice, refreshing mint green color. Kind of looks like a Shamrock Shake, which is pretty cool. It's also Shamrock Shake season, so that might be why I'm doing this. But no, that's not why. But when we talk about the striking surface, it is all that nice mint green, as you can see, except for back here we have the Combat Corner logo. It is the C and the C inside. This is shaded out like most of the other ones are. Shaded in, I should say. And that's the cool thing about Combat Corner, is I like their logo a lot. And a lot of people think that I try to rip their logo. No, this logo is actually supposed to be after the Capsule Corporation from Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball in general. I actually reached out to Combat Corner when I started the channel out of a courtesy on their Instagram and said, am I okay to use this? And they said yes, so long as they don't slap it on some gloves and try and sell them. So that's the idea behind those. So no, I'm not ripping Combat Corner's logo. I just like their logo because it's simple and it stands out. Then when we come to the thumb, it says handmade in Thailand, premium quality, like a lot of Thai-made gloves will do. So it's that nice round stamp right on the thumb telling you where it was made. Most Thai gloves will do that because a lot of Thais are proud that they have a lot of that coming from. Then you have Combat Corner Professional on the palm here. And as you can see, that stitching is also that whitish mint green color that you can see throughout here. It is a double line stitching going all throughout there, right back to the Combat Corner Professional here. And then if we go down more, you can see a little corner tab right there. It's a little tab that they attach there. That's a CRNR, which is corner, Combat Corner. I don't know why that tab is there, but it's there. And then the rest of the palm, you know, the grip bar, everything, like I said, it looks exactly the same. And then you can even see, going back to the thumb, that we have a big fat webbed attachment for a big fat thumb, and that is also green, and that stands out as well. Not too many gloves out there will use that as much as you'd think. A lot of it is just a small little tab that attaches it. Then we come down here, it says Combat Corner Bangkok, Thailand. Right down here, and that is a nice like canvas patch that you have attached there, and as you can see, it says Combat Corner Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm pretty sure, I can't read it quite there on the screen, but it says premium, premium quality boxing gear is what it says, and it has a trademark right down there too, just to let you know, which is cool. When you open the glove as well, you have a nice gold tab on the inside of the black lining, and it says handmade in Thailand, made of genuine leather in gold, so it looks cool. Then the inside, you can see, we'll go into that into construction, but it is also a black leather that's on the inside. But when we talk about the build and the quality of the glove, the first thing you'll notice when you take it out of the box is that it reeks of very high quality leather. It does not have a chemical scent to it at all. even though it has a different color than a lot of other boxing gloves do on the market. Most of the time when you have like a high finish paint like this, sometimes you can kind of smell the chemical paint, or you can smell stuff like that, especially with metallic paints, you can smell it. But nope, it smells just like a brand new dress shoe, if you ever got that, or a brand new leather belt, or a brand new wallet. And it is very, very soft and supple leather. I mean, it is super soft and supple leather throughout the entire glove, even down to the wrist cuff, which the wrist cuff and build is admittedly a little stiff, but the leather itself is still very soft all the way throughout the palm, all the way throughout the knuckle padding. And it's actually a pretty thick hide that you can pull off it. You know, you got a decent amount of leather that can yank off the padding. But what that does is it helps the padding, which is a nice multi-layered blend, which right from Combat Corner's website and right from their YouTube channel, you can see this nice gentleman talk about it. It is a blend. Well, my cat just opened my door. Sorry, but it is a blend of multi-layered foam that you have going on here. You have latex EVA foam, and you also have a high-density foam that is going throughout the knuckles here. And you can feel that throughout the entire glove, and you can actually see how soft it is. You can see the latex retract pretty quick. That seems like it's the middle layer, but the outer layer feels like that high density foam. And then when you push in, you can feel the EVA core that most Thai gloves will use to keep the molding in shape, basically. So that's what you got going on here. And it also seems like it's one solid mold. You know, most of the gloves have that little split going down here, as you can see from the thumb to the back of the wrist. The only thing about that is, I think that's more just to change the color of the leather. And as you can actually hear my cat's bell going on right now. But sorry about that, folks. But basically, it's just that one solid piece all the way throughout here, and you can tell it's one solid piece because it splits down here to the wrist cuff. Before we get to the wrist cuff that is separate from the top part of the glove, the grip bar is super soft, and it feels like your standard high-density foam, kind of like that insulation foam type of padding, and it feels nice right on the grip. And then the inside of the thumb has a really nice soft piping go along here, so it's not too stiff, because sometimes when you have a stiff piping, it really makes the thumb a stiff area. Switching over to this glove for some reason, but I'm going to. Then when we come here, you have the breathe holes right in the center, which really doesn't make much of a difference at all, to be honest. But then you come to, once again, the grip bar. You have that really nice thickly webbed thumb, which has a very fat and wide thumb, which keeps it nice and secure, and that's also nice and soft on the end here. Feels just like this, which also, once again, makes me believe that it's just one solid mold. Then when we come down back to the palm, where it's this Combat Corner here, it is a nice little sidebar, obviously made for a lot of Thai drills and to like really keep you nice and protected. Say someone's going to kick you, you can catch your palm and everything like that. And that feels nice on the hand, especially when you're drilling. So you have that nice little like rubberized type foam patch that's going on right here. Now when we talk about the wrist cuff, you can see the stitching that's all throughout here, okay? And it's that nice double line stitching. But like I said, the wrist cuff itself is actually kind of stiff. And the one thing that I just never really liked about most traditional Thai gloves is how stiff that wrist can be. And the design is so when you get a clinch, it's really easy to kind of curve down like this. The only thing is that the wrist support isn't great compared to some other gloves out there. Now this glove actually offers decent wrist support compared to others because of how big the padding goes down. And compared to some Thai gloves, which are usually shorter, fatter, and wider, this is actually tall and a little slimmer in some areas, more like a Western boxing glove with a Thai twist to it, which is nice. The only thing, once again, is that that wrist support, being that there is nothing counterbalancing the weight towards the top, it is a very top-heavy glove. It fell right off. So because of that, you do have that top-heavy forward pressure feel when you're using these. The only thing I'll say about that is between the latex and the high-density foam, I put this in a category of like a hybrid between a pillow and a puncher's glove because of that latex on the inside giving you a nice recoil. But I've never ever felt my knuckles through it, and I've never hurt my hand or knuckles doing it. Now, when we pull the Velcro back, and this is a very strong Velcro strap, you can see that the Velcro is black, but you have a small little leather attachment here that's attaching to the glove. Then the interior lining, as you can see here, is actually all leather right there until you get past the wrist cuff. Then it turns into your standard, polyester lining that you have going on here, that nylon lining that's on the inside. It's that poly blend that you got going on. Now, there's a decent amount of room in the hand compartment, but the one thing that was a little disappointment for me is when I put my hands on the inside of the glove, my fingers feel kind of cramped. And for a tie glove, it is kind of hard to open and close the glove. And even when I strap this tight to my wrist, because I want to open and close it a lot, my fingers tend to kind of climb down the glove and I have to kind of readjust, put my hand back in and do it again. So that's a little annoying. I don't like that. I wish I could put a camera on the inside of the glove somehow so you can see what I'm talking about. But the idea is, like, when I'm closing my fist, this is great. It has a nice solid surface. It keeps my hand in a nice stable position. And you can actually see it does splint my wrist pretty good. It won't push back that easy. It's really easy to curve down. And yes, I get good grips like I should for a tie glove. It's a little stiffer than some tie gloves out there, but every time I open, it feels like my hand is falling down the glove. The other thing is, obviously, when you have hand wraps on, it's easier to keep the glove secure and it won't yank off like that. But I just don't like how I have to readjust. And that was something that happened with the HMIT sparring gloves too. So having that happen with the Velcro version as well, granted these are different than the sparring gloves, tells me that that might be either my anatomy with the glove or it might be the glove design itself kind of messing with me a little bit. And I don't like that too much. I wish it stayed on. And you know, just to show you that it kind of happens with the same thing with the right hand. When I put my hand in here, like I said, I got the material is kind of baggy up towards the fingers as well, so I got to maneuver that. But when I open my hand up and down like this, I can feel my fingers are like here at first, and then when I open my hand, my fingers are like down here more. And I don't like that. And if now it feels like my fingers are by the grip bar, basically is where it goes. So sometimes when I'm sparring, I kind of have to like readjust on the fly and do that and keep them there, which I wish wasn't the case, but unfortunately that's just kind of how it goes with these. They're so comfortable to use. I just really wish that they changed that feature of it. You can also definitely feel the stiffer padding at the tip of the fingers and the thumb back here. It's not uncomfortable, but it's not the most comfortable glove as far as hand compartment goes. Sometimes I do feel my hand gets cramped, and sometimes that padding does kind of, you can feel it on your thumb when you're like pushing against it. Granted, you want to try and wear hand wraps with these. There is a decent amount of room. You kind of can't put too much padding on your knuckle. I will say that much. I can just do a standard wrap and it'll work fine. But putting like your knuckle guards and stuff on with this doesn't have the most room compared to that. But granted, you don't really need all the extra knuckle padding. I will say it has excellent knuckle support. I can't feel down my knuckles here because of that high density padding, and it's actually, that's probably the thickest layer you got going on there, but it feels nice on my knuckles just like that. So that's always a good thing, is that the padding is thick enough where you don't need to really pad it extra with hand wraps and stuff. But let's go into the bag work and see how these perform on the bags, and we'll come back with my final thoughts. So the easiest way to describe these gloves is that they are so puffy. And you can definitely get that feeling on the bag, but it's kind of cool because although they're puffy and they have that pillow style feel, at the same time you have such forward energy because it is a bit more of a top heavy glove, and they do have some bits of latex on the inside there, so you definitely feel a nice solid recoil. The grips on these are okay. I think there are better tie gloves out there that have better grips, but these grips are just fine. And the leverage that you get off of throwing these is awesome. They're not too heavy on your hands. They're just very front heavy, if that makes any sense. Overall, great experience on the bag. All right, so when we look at these nice mint green color gloves, definitely a unique color, and I think a lot of people just recognize that CC logo now. Combat Corner is in virtually every gym that I walk into now, including mine, and actually a couple of my teammates have these as well. They look sharp, they're not too advanced, they're not too basic, and they pop out just enough, and I definitely say you could tell someone knows what they're doing if they're using these gloves. All right, folks, so my final verdict on the Combat Corner HMIT training gloves is they're a very well-made glove. They're very high quality. They have really good material. I just think there are some design faults that I would really like to fix, because those will prevent me from using the gloves as often as I would really like to. Granted, I have been using them quite often lately. I think they are a great protective training glove for your knuckles. decent wrist support, and they're actually really, really safe to spar with. So that's always a plus. So when it comes to that, let's talk about some of the design things that maybe I'd fix, and then we'll go into more of the positive stuff, okay? Talking about the wrist support and the wrist cuff being so short, I can't really comment too much on that, just because most Thai gloves and Thai boxers have gloves like this, and that's really so it promotes you when you grab to really fold your wrist downward, which is always something that you want to deal with. That way you can get nice solid grips on your hand and everything like that. The Velcro is super strong, which is great, and the lining is good around the wrist cuff because of that nice soft leather that's going on. Once again, I'll show that again. You get that nice black lining. But when I go on the inside, it is fairly baggy. So I would like for it to kind of be stretched a little bit tighter. And the other thing too is like there's not a really big window for me to fit my fingers in there. I have to really push in, which is normal for a glove, but if I push in too far, it feels like everything's too tight. And then on top of it, whenever I open and close my hand, it feels like my hand starts to slide out like this downward, and I don't like that. So I have to constantly do this. Even if I'm here, if I push my hand all the way in, right, and I strap this up tight, just to give you an idea, if I'm punching, then I open to go clinch, I just opened it, right? My fingers were up here, and now they're down here right above the grip bar in that area. And that's just not good. That's not safe for my fingers or for my hand, and it also won't allow me to make a proper fist. The only benefit to that being is that the padding is so thick that it's going to protect my knuckles and protect my hands. So that's the one thing that I do like about it, is that my knuckles are nice and padded because of the high density foam and everything like that. The other thing too is I've never had an issue with my wrist support on these at all. I can see some people might, but honestly, if you wrap your hands up pretty good, I think it's good for your wrist. But at the end of the day, I think this padding covering your wrist, because my wrist really is resting about here, is pretty good. You get decent grips, but it is a little stiff for a Thai glove if you ask me, because you really want to open to get those grips. You know, it feels like it's open all the time, and that's the other thing about it being forced open, is I have to squeeze a little bit tighter than some other gloves out there to keep it closed, instead of me just, you know, opening it more naturally and closing it more naturally. It feels forced open a lot, so the grips are good, but it does feel kind of stiff, and it being a bit more of a bulkier Thai glove might be a turnoff for some actual Thai guys that are so used to like a Fairtex BGV1 or your Yokows or stuff like that, or your Twins that are a much smaller profile glove. The other thing too that I honestly didn't mind for a Thai glove was it was a bit taller and slimmer compared to a short, fat stature that you got going on for a lot of other Thai gloves out there, like your BGV1s and Yokows. So that's what you got going on here. But going into the like good parts about the glove is that it is made really well. It's made out of really good materials. The leather is very soft. It's very shiny too, and it looks cool. You got tons of different size options for it as well, and colorways, which is always good for everybody. And it's good for your knuckles, and it's good for your wrist, in my opinion. And the thumb is honestly the one takeaway that I'll say about the hand compartment that I do like, is that the thumb is actually pretty natural. I've never smashed my thumb in it at all because it's very padded. The only thing about the thumb, like I said, is you have that EVA layer at the bottom that is a little stiff on the thumb. I can feel it on like my thumbnail a little bit. But if I just close here, it is a very natural fitting thumb. And it has a decent amount of room in there, and I don't really need to pad my knuckles too much more than this, because this glove offers enough padding and support already as that one solid piece of foam, one solid mold with all the foam layers going on. And once again, those layers, according to Combat Corner, are latex, multi-layered foam, and EVA. And I believe, once again, the latex is in the middle. The top layer is your high-density foam, and then you have your EVA at the bottom, which is normal. The other nice thing I like is that it supports your palm for drilling because it's actually decently padded. The grip bar is nice, and then you have I call it the kick catcher bar, but basically it's the side of your hand that sometimes when you're getting kicked will get smacked, and it'll kind of make your hand jolt and go numb for a second. It's like, oh boy, what happened there? You have actually the palm has that nice padding on the side, so it's good, especially when you're like drilling. If I'm doing like 1, 2, 3, catch the kick, it's nice over there. So it has decent palm padding, so it doesn't damage your palms for like partner drills and stuff like that. And when you're catching kicks for sparring, it's also good if you're going to palm someone or grip someone. It's not going to rough them up too much. The other thing I like about it is that the Velcro is strong enough. that it doesn't come up, so I never get scraped. Like I'm doing that, I never get scraped, and neither does my sparring partner, which is always good. I sometimes don't have that luxury with some other gloves out there. Sometimes the padding, not the padding, the Velcro will just start to fall apart, which is never good. And then we also talk about, with pros, very easy to clean. All you gotta do is wipe it down with a disinfecting wipe. I like the leather on the inside of the cuff here. It's very easy to wipe down. And of course, I've treated this glove maybe once now, and it still looks and smells exactly the same as it did when I took it out of the box. And it still has that nice classic leather belt scent, and I love that about it. So it's very well made. I just don't like the finger and the hand compartment. The one thing I will say probably will happen after a while, I have not had these as long as other gloves. I imagine with the high density foams, it will bubble towards the top every now and again. There is a slight bubble here on the thumb, which is okay because the thumb isn't where I'm going to strike all the time. But I can see more of the glove bubbling apart, and I have seen someone that I've known for a while use these, and I did see them spar with them once, and you saw more of the bubbles happening down here. But overall, I mean, if I had to give these gloves a rating, I'd give them a good, 7 out of 10 about, even for the price point that you're getting with these. They're about 125, 130 bucks, which is a standard professional quality glove. And it's made out of really professional high grade quality materials too. Now there's other models out there that are a little bit more expensive. And there are some brands and other gloves that I would buy over this, but I'd also rather have this than say an Everlast Powerlock in some sense. The only thing I think the Powerlock probably does better is that I just don't like the hand compartment in it. For me, it's a little too tight, it's a little too cramped, and my fingers creep down way too much, which makes it annoying, especially during sparring. I don't like it falling down my wrist. And I found that happen with a few of Combat Corner's gloves that I've tried between the HMIT Sparring that I reviewed about a month ago and now the HMIT here. I would just want that changed. That would be my big thing. Some people may not like the bulkiness to it. And I certainly don't mind the bulkiness to it because I'm a bit of a bulky guy. So that doesn't really bother me. But overall, it's very easy to take care of and maintain. It's just really that hand compartment size, the hand compartment issues really kind of knock it down for me. And on top of it, the wrist support is not the greatest thing on the planet, but it's not the best either. It's not the worst either, rather. And that's the one thing that, I think some people might not like if you don't like having zero, like wrist splints or something like that. The wrist support isn't bad, but is it as good as some other gloves out there? No, certainly not. So that's maybe a little bit of a detractor from that. Where the glove does shine, though, is the padding is very good for the knuckles. And the hand compartment, though baggy, and kind of stiff and cramped for me, isn't the most uncomfortable. That's the other thing about it, is that it doesn't feel like, it's not rugged on my hand, but it's not comfortable in the fact that it's too small for me. I wish it was just a little bit bigger. I wish they tightened up the lining on the inside, or maybe kept like a tightly knit nylon instead of the loose baggy stuff that you got going on here, or maybe even just keep that leather throughout the rest of the glove. Let's see how that goes. That might feel good. It might drive up the price, but that's the other thing about the glove that I would change, is just that hand compartment. It's comfortable as far as feel, but it's not comfortable as far as usability, as far as like how you're actually going to apply it. It doesn't feel like anatomically accurate to my hand, and I don't like that about it. But overall, like I said, I give them a solid 7 out of 10. They will perform well. The other thing I don't like about it is that maybe the padding, that EVA padding, keeps it a little too stiff. So closing my hand can be a little hard. I feel like I have to squeeze a little bit too much, which is okay in some areas. It doesn't ever feel like I'm going to break my hand, but sometimes when you squeeze too much, you are over squeezing. It might pop, and you don't want that to happen. But overall, that's my review on the Combat Corner HMIT Muay Thai training gloves. Overall, a very good glove. I think Combat Corner is a great brand, and they do great things. It's just, there are just a few things as far as the design that I don't know if it's my anatomy or you. I think if you have brittle hands, they might work good for you. I think if you're a puncher, you'd still like these as well because of the padding composition. And you know what? They're decent sized gloves, so they're nice for your Philly shell defense and stuff. I would not call it a defensive glove because it is a bit more it is rounded towards the top, but you can still see there's a bit of a flatter punching surface here, and it has flattened out a little bit more. They don't take very long to break in at all. They're not stiff right off the box. They are a very soft and plush glove. So overall, I give them a 7 out of 10 just because I don't like the hand compartment too much. But that's, you know, some people might prefer that over that. I wouldn't let it stop you from buying them, I guess is the easiest way to word it. So that was my review on the Combat Corner HMIT training gloves. I really appreciate you all for clicking on the video. I hope that you will follow me on my Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook pages, all my social medias, as I post there daily. On top of it, if you like, comment, and subscribe, it goes a long way to help the channel. And hit the notification button so you can see every review and short that I upload in the future. And then on top of it, above all, comment what you thought about this video and tell me if I missed anything or if you have any questions about the glove I just reviewed, or let me know what gloves you want me to review in the near future. I got a bunch of videos coming out soon, okay? All right, folks, with that said, thank you so much for watching the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a good one, everybody.